Imagine burying a chest of treasure deep underground, perfectly sealed against thieves, rust, and the elements. A decade later, you unearth it, only to find that while every single coin remains untouched, half of their value has simply vanished into thin air. The gold still glimmers, the silver still shines, but the world above ground has shifted so drastically that your hidden fortune can now buy only a fraction of what it once could. This is not dark magic, but the relentless, invisible force of inflation. It is a financial predator that does not announce its presence through broken locks or shattered glass, but through the quiet, insidious erosion of purchasing power. The money in your wallet, the digits in your bank account, and the wages you earn are all locked in a silent battle against a macroeconomic tide that threatens to wash away their worth. Decoding this invisible money thief reveals a complex web of economic shifts that go far beyond rising prices at the gas pump or the grocery store. The true cost of currency devaluation hides in the fine print of our daily lives, manipulating everything from the quality of our food to the structure of our taxes. Here are the top 10 hidden ways inflation secretly steals your wealth and alters the economic landscape beneath your feet. Number 10. The phantom theft of shrinkflation. You walk down the supermarket aisle and grab your favorite box of cereal, paying the exact same price you did last month. The transaction feels normal and your budget remains intact. Yet the box feels slightly lighter in your hands. The manufacturer has reduced the net weight by 2 ounces, subtly redesigning the packaging to mask the missing volume. The physical dimensions of the cardboard remain identical, but the plastic bag inside holds a fraction of its former contents. Corporations employ teams of psychologists and packaging engineers to execute these microscopic reductions, knowing that consumers are highly sensitive to price increases but largely oblivious to minor changes in volume. This psychological sleight of hand allows corporations to maintain their profit margins without triggering the immediate sticker shock of rising prices. Your wallet empties at the exact same rate, but your pantry shelves are noticeably sparser. Ultimately, you are forced to buy replacement goods much sooner than anticipated, meaning the hidden cost of inflation is paid not at the register today, but in the frequency of your shopping trips tomorrow. Number 9. The invisible tax hike known as bracket creep. Historically, tax systems were designed with progressive brackets to capture larger portions of wealth as citizens earned more money, ensuring that those who prospered contributed a fairer share to society. However, when inflation pushes your nominal wage higher simply to match the escalating cost of living, it can bump you into a higher tax bracket. Your actual purchasing power has not increased by a single cent. You cannot afford a better home, a nicer car, or higher quality food, yet the government now claims a larger percentage of your income. You are statistically richer on paper, but practically poorer in reality. It is a silent penalty for simply treading water in a turbulent economy. Without constant legislative intervention to adjust these tax thresholds, the burden on the middle class grows heavier purely through the mechanics of currency devaluation. Bracket creep quietly strips away the benefits of your annual raise, funneling wealth from the citizen to the state without a single new tax law ever being passed. Number 8. The devastating reality of the fixed income trap. For retirees relying on pensions or static annuities, the world becomes progressively more expensive while their monthly checks remain frozen in time, locked to an economic reality that no longer exists. A comfortable retirement plan decades ago suddenly transforms into a desperate struggle to cover basic utilities and medical bills. The mathematical models that promised a peaceful end of life simply stop working when the cost of survival doubles over a 10-year span. What was once considered a luxurious pension becomes a poverty wage, and the victims have no ability to return to the workforce to make up the difference. Looking back at historical inflation crises, such as the economic turbulence of the 1970s, reveals how quickly fixed incomes can be decimated. During periods of double-digit inflation, the lifelong financial security of an entire generation can be wiped out. The elderly are forced to choose between heating their homes and buying their medication. a brutal consequence of a monetary system that punishes those who can no longer produce new income. Number 7. The subtle degradation of skimpflation. Unlike its cousin shrinkflation, this phenomenon does not target the physical size of a product, but the quality of the service and the caliber of materials surrounding it. A hotel that once offered daily housekeeping now only cleans rooms upon request, citing environmental concerns while conveniently masking a massive reduction in labor costs. A favorite restaurant quietly switches from premium butter to cheaper vegetable oils, altering a beloved recipe to preserve their bottom line against the rising cost of dairy. Customer service hotlines replace human operators with automated systems, saving the company millions while costing the consumer hours of frustration. The price tag remains identical, but the intrinsic value of the experience has been hollowed out from the inside. Consumers are left paying premium rates for a mediocre reality. It is an invisible tax on everyday joy that slowly lowers the standard of living across the entire economy, conditioning the public to expect less while paying exactly the same. Number 6. The paradoxical debt illusion. It is a strange economic quirk that inflation can actually benefit those who owe money, provided the debt carries a fixed interest rate negotiated before the currency began to lose its value. If you secure a 30-year mortgage at a low rate, the dollar you used to pay back that loan a decade later are worth significantly less than the dollar you originally borrowed. The debt effectively shrinks in real terms, subsidized by the devaluation of the national currency. It is one of the rare instances where the borrower wins, paying back a massive loan with money that has become remarkably easy to acquire. But this silver lining comes with a severe catch. While historical debt becomes cheaper to service, central banks invariably respond to inflation by hiking new interest rates to cool down the overheated economy. This makes any future borrowing exponentially more expensive, locking a new generation of potential buyers out of the housing market entirely and creating a deep chasm between those who secured cheap debt and those who arrived too late. Number 5. The savings account Mirage. Traditional financial wisdom dictates that putting money into a high-yield savings account is the absolute bedrock of responsible wealth management and future security. Yet, when the inflation rate surpasses the interest paid by banks, those savings are secretly bleeding value. If an account yields 3.5% while inflation runs at 6.5%, the depositor is experiencing a negative real return. They are losing wealth every single day the money sits in the vault, despite the comforting illusion of the balance ticking upward on their monthly statements. The illusion of safety traps millions in a cycle of guaranteed loss. They watch their account balances grow nominally, completely unaware that their ability to buy goods and services is simultaneously collapsing under the weight of invisible economic forces. The very institution designed to protect their wealth becomes the silent theater of its destruction. Number 4. The terrifying vulnerability of the insurance gap. Homeowners and business operators dutifully pay premiums based on the calculated replacement cost of their properties at the time the policy was originally written. As construction materials, lumber, and skilled labor costs skyrocket due to inflation, that coverage limit quickly becomes entirely obsolete. A policy designed to rebuild a suburban home in 2018 might only cover the framing and the concrete foundation by 2024. The math used to calculate risks simply cannot keep pace with the hyperactive reality of a devalued currency. Disaster strikes, and the victims discover they are drastically underinsured at the exact moment they need protection the most. The financial safety net they paid for has been stretched so thin by rising prices that it shatters upon impact. Families are left facing sudden bankruptcy, their homes destroyed, and their insurance payouts hopelessly inadequate to cover the cost of rebuilding their lives. Number 3. The lifestyle creep multiplier. As individuals earn raises to combat inflation, there is a natural psychological tendency to upgrade their standard of living, moving to better neighborhoods, leasing newer vehicles, or dining at finer establishments. However, inflation acts as a ruthless multiplier on these new, higher baseline costs. A 10% increase in the cost of a luxury lifestyle requires significantly more raw capital than a 10% increase on a frugal, minimalist existence. The absolute dollar amount required to maintain this elevated status grows exponentially, far outpacing the incremental raises that funded the lifestyle upgrade in the first place. The treadmill speeds up, demanding more energy just to maintain the same position. Earning more money no longer results in getting ahead financially. It barely provides enough momentum to keep from falling off the back of the machine, trapping high earners in a bizarre cycle of perpetual financial anxiety where they make more money than ever before, yet feel poorer every single month. Number 2. The capital gains phantom. Investors who bravely navigate volatile markets to secure a profit often find themselves penalized by an archaic tax code that is completely blind to the realities of inflation. Imagine buying a stock for $10,000 and selling it a decade later for $15,000. On paper, you have achieved a $5,000 gain, and the National Revenue Service will tax you on that exact nominal amount. The system views this as pure profit, a clear indicator of financial success that must be taxed accordingly. But if inflation has reduced the purchasing power of the dollar by 40% over that same decade, your real return is practically zero. You are forced to pay taxes on illusory profits, a cruel mathematical trap that drains investment capital. You are essentially being taxed on the government's failure to maintain the value of its own currency, turning a break-even investment into a devastating net loss. Number 1. The grand currency devaluation cycle. Throughout history, from the crumbling Roman Empire clipping its silver denarii to the catastrophic hyperinflation of the Weimar Republic, the ultimate consequence of unchecked inflation is the destruction of societal trust. When a currency loses its reliability as a store of value, citizens rush to convert their cash into hard assets like real estate, gold, or essential commodities. This frantic velocity of money accelerates the very inflation they are trying to escape, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy of economic doom. Money becomes a hot potato, burning the hands of anyone foolish enough to hold on to it for more than a few days. Central banks are then forced into a high-stakes balancing act, wielding interest rates like a blunt instrument to cool the economy without triggering a devastating global recession. It is a precarious tightrope walk where one misstep can plunge millions into poverty, as the levers of monetary policy struggle to contain the psychological panic of a population that has lost faith in its money. The true cost of inflation is not just the changing numbers on a grocery receipt, but the fundamental destabilization of time and human effort. It forces society to live entirely in the present, as the future value of their labor becomes an unsolvable mystery. When the money in your wallet loses its memory, the foundation of long-term planning crumbles, forever altering how we dream, how we build, and how we survive in an ever-shifting economic reality.